Welcome back to AITSM show. Today we have our Women Thought Leader special season and we are having Sapna Gupta with us. She had a rich experience in IT service management and she's currently working in Cargill Global IT Information Advisor, and we will get to know more about her during the interview also. Proud to have you and welcome to AITSM show. Please let us know about your experience. What is your story? What is your experience about? And then we will move towards our topic.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Anand. Thanks for giving me the opportunity and invite me on this particular platform. I'm really glad to connect with you and speaking over here and sharing my experience. Overall, I have almost 20 plus years of experience in IT industry in multiple different profiles. Correct. So I started my career with a hardcore technical person into the infrastructure space with the Windows administrator, then database administrator, Unix administrator, storage administrator,
Wow.
and with all the different experience on the different technology which was emerging over the period of time where we were having a very standalone servers to the virtualization world and all. So like a different technology experience. So over the period of time, then into the management area where I got a chance to work on the different migration project, which was from the on-prem to the cloud, and then the data center consolidation projects. Okay, so it's kind of like a mix of the different kind of a landscape and the technologies which was emerging with the time as I was growing in my career as well. And today we see that there's a quite a very mature IT infrastructure that we have, which is spread across the hybrid cloud. And a lot of organizations, they are adopting this strategy and moving strategically on the cloud. And it's not like a craze now that being on the cloud, rather it's become has become a kind of a need.
Right.
I have never been dedicatedly working on a specific profile on the ITSM, but as it is kind of a very integrated with the whole IT management part. So yes, I can very well relate it with that. And currently in Cargill, I'm working on the automation advisor profile, which is very specifically focusing on how we can improve the automation maturity across the different infrastructure technologies. As the infrastructure is kind of a base layer and which enable the Nest IT system, which is like an application space, to support them to adopt the DevOps model, the agile methodologies. Okay, so it is not possible until that the application team has a handshake with the infrastructure team. Okay, so this is where I'm more focusing on. And connecting back with the topic what we have today, definitely that the way the ITSM layer is a horizontal layer, connect with all the different technical towers, okay, and create a kind of a process or a kind of a methodology, how we can ensure that we are adhering to the process guidelines and handling the incidents, the requests, the problems, the change across the entire IT landscape. In the same way, the automation is also a kind of a horizontal layer we cannot see in the isolation, and it is not limited to one particular technology tower or a process. Again, it is also like quite well integrated with each of the process, each of the technology, and once they work together, that's how we can see the benefit, the real benefit out of it.
Correct. So actually, when you discussed about the team, I was really very excited to hear about it. Say we are working in area of ITSM and automation and AI, but there are some things which needs to be changed. There are kinds of myths, our beliefs, whatever our beliefs about automation. So when your topic said like it's a productive rant about automation, it really intrigued me and interested me. So what are your views about automation here?
Okay, that's very good question. And I will say there's a myth about the automation that once we do, it should do some magics.
Right.
Okay. And to be frank, I think we have to really understand how we can change the thought process, change the way of working, and then bring the automation to enable that working model. Probably I will elaborate more. If we say that years back, okay, the way we were monitoring our IT landscape is based on the threshold. Okay, so if any threshold is crossing, okay, let's send an alert. Let the analyst be aware about that alert, maybe through the emails, through the incident tickets, whatever is the different medium, and then take on action on it. Okay, so that was the initial level of the maturity when we were working some time back, and we feel like a proud that we are monitoring everything. But if we see in today's context, okay, everything, every configuration settings, we can define the threshold, we can monitor, and that result in the thousands or the lakhs of the emails or the like a ticket volume, which is not possible to handle. Okay, so now the need comes how we can have the integrated view. Okay, so which can remove the duplicates and can bring a single event information. For example, like if something has broken, it will create multiple tickets, network layer, database layer, OS layer, application layer. Maybe the event is one. Okay, so we have to work how those different incidents and the alerts can be clubbed together. Okay, now that's what we are calling out the correlation of the events. Okay. Now the next thing is, once we know this is something, and most of the time, like 70-80% of times, we know these are the specific set of the tasks that we have to execute. Even if it is going to the L1 person, he is having a SOP defined where he has to check following things. And it takes some time because for each of the layer, there's a different analyst. Okay, so for checking the server, there's a different analyst, for database, different analyst, and everyone is taking their own time to check the first initial test. Okay, what has gone wrong? So now, when we know this is a repetitive task, can we look to automate and check, let all the checks happen in the parallel so that once these tests are done, we have the observations that this is where some fault is being observed. The rest of the test has been passed or has an interdependency on each other. So that kind of outcome. So the human interactions or the engineer efforts is going more on troubleshooting that finding rather than creating that finding. Okay. So that's where that automation is actually helping it out to integrate the monitoring findings and then executing certain checks in the balances and then resulting to some of the findings which can help an analyst to narrow down the problem statement, and that can drastically reduce the overall resolution time for such kind of events. Right. Another example which I would like to quote from that process point of view, maybe some of the tasks like a disaster recovery, we used to create replica of the VMs that we say, like protecting the VMs. But how many times we do the testing, okay, whether the DR environment is really working? Can we use certain automations to actually test that whether the DR executions is happening seamlessly? Because if it is not seamless, I think we are losing that the reasons behind that, why we are creating the DR. So I hope it explained.
Yeah, from VM's perspective, if it is a web services based environment, load balancing on VMs, or there could be like personal working machines are also there. So for infrastructure automation, how do you see IT process automation can help, or kind of conversational IT or likewise that can help?
I take a very small example of like CMDB updates. We all know it's like one of the core that we need to have the right information in our repository, which can enable us for many things. All of our processes, the integrations, the automations, there's a lot of dependency of the CMDB. It is very easy to say that everyone should have the good CMDB, right information, correct information, up to date. It's very challenging. Okay. Now, my thought process is, do we really make efforts, okay, to update our Facebook list, to maintain our LinkedIn? Not really, right? We have never been so thoughtful that each and every friend should be in my Facebook list. It just happened. Okay, it comes and we just click and it just happened. We literally don't take the deliberate efforts. Okay. I think in the same way, the way our friend circle, our connected people, we want to make a linkage. Okay, in the same way, in the IT environment, the CMDB is kind of the same thing, right? How the different devices are connected with each
Correct.
other. Okay. How now we can use the conversations AI or the automation, okay, to make it so seamless that people are literally not putting the efforts, but it is just happening. Okay. Likewise, we can have the chatbot, which is programmed to make some of the checks and the balances. Like if some of the CI is having this particular IP, and this IP in the different database is mapped to a different VLAN, and this VLAN belongs to that site. But in the CMDB, this server is located maybe in India, but this VLAN belongs to maybe Singapore. That means there is a mismatch. Okay. So why? So we can actually program in the backend to highlight such kind of a discrepancy and can use the chatbot to connect with the specific owner residing in Bangalore, because the IP indicates this is from Singapore. Would you like to revalidate? Or you want to redirect this conversation to someone else? So in this process, actually we have validated the owner person also. Okay. And we know who should be the accountable person. Okay. We are validating multiple things. And it is actually become very effortless and auto update, and which can help the entire organizations or the different processes in a long run. So the conversation AI definitely can help in many ways, actually.
Right. So it can also be like, just as you said, it could be like to identify the proper CI owner, and if there is some kind of automated process runs behind the scene, say RPA or likewise, and which can actually detect that this IP is from different area than whatever the owner is on, and then it puts an alert onto the that person, some IT service manager. There is this anomaly detected, what to do.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thanks a lot. We will continue this insightful discussion in the next episode. Please stay tuned. Bye bye.